Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. S. Naim Banu, Assistant Professor of Political Science, Indira Priyadarshini Government Degree College, Nampalli, Hyderabad. Today, I am going to discuss about one of the important, in fact, most controversial topic of Indian government and politics, that is Indian federalism. As everybody knows, that the founding fathers of Indian Constitution have opted federalism to Indian setup instead of unitary form. Though most of the features of Indian Constitution have borrowed from 1935 Act and other forms of what I want to say forms of governments of the world. But one thing which is very important to know is that though the concept of parliamentary form of government has been adopted by the fathers of Indian Constitution from British Westminster model of parliamentary system, cabinet system, single citizenship. Okay, then flexible form of constitution, etc. from British model. But as far as the structure of the government is concerned, the framers of Indian Constitution have borrowed federalism from Canada. So Indian federalism is totally similar to that of Canadian model of political organization, unlike American model. Why? Because American concept of federalism is totally different from that of other parts of the world. In fact, I want to say one thing, that American federalism is true in its nature, but whereas Indian model is totally similar to that of Canadian model, which is totally different from that of its counterpart, that is American. So, as everybody knows that federalism, the concept federalism is an English word which is derived from the Latin word feudus, which means contract or agreement. So a form of government exists after having the agreement. So agreement between the two is the result of a concept of federalism. However, federalism is that type of government in which the power is divided between the two units of government, to which sometimes we can call it as a national government or other governmental units, or we can call it as federal uh, at the central and provincial at the state level, or sometimes we can call it as a central and the state governments. However, federalism is totally different. It contrasts with unitary government in which a central authority holds the power, and a confederation in which the states, for example, are clearly dominant. So what I am trying to say, that Indian uh, concept of federalism is regarded as uh, India's unique feature of Indian Constitution, where we are going to find distinct features which are totally different from that of American Confederation, where always the states dominant. In India, central government is dominant. One of the reasons behind this uh, means behind making the central government more powerful was so as to make India united, so as to maintain India's unity and integrity. So what I am trying to say, that throughout 20th century, the power of federal government expanded considerably through legislation or court decisions. Federalism is a compound mode of two governments. That is, in one system there will be a mixture of two governments, state government with that of central government. In India, we can describe federalism as the distribution of authority, means the authority in India has been distributed around local, national and state governments. So in this way, say that India has opted federalism. So before going to know why Indian founding fathers of Indian Constitution have opted federalism to Indian setup, was the fact that because of diversities. India is the land of diversified cultures, diversified languages, diversified religions, diversified customs and traditions. And that is the reason why Indian framers of constitution wanted to give an opportunity for every diversified sections. In fact, in India, when it got independence, at that time there were nearly 16 states based on the diversities. And from 1947 till now, the number of states have been divided. Means again it has been increased to 29. It reflects the fact that diversity in India has definitely responsible for dividing the states, for increasing the number of states. So what I am trying to say is, so as to protect the interest of diversified cultures of the people, the framers of Indian Constitution have opted federalism to India at one side. At the another side, their main intention, particularly of father of Indian Constitution, B.R. Ambedkar sir, was having one of the main intention of making at one side giving opportunities to every region, means every state, the concept of development. At the same time, he wanted to maintain equilibrium, means equilibrium that is more important for the smooth running of the administration in the country. So at the same time, the founding fathers of Indian Constitution wanted to make central government more strong, and that is the reason why the constitutional fathers were not at all in a mood to adopt or borrow the concept of pure federalism, which is in vogue in America, where more powers have been given to the states. And even in fact, I want to say one thing, that in America, states are having the power to secede from the central government. But whereas in India, as everybody knows, the Article 1 of India says that India is a union of states. It means that state means India consists of union and the states, where states are having no right to secede from the central, from the union. So, so as to maintain unity, integrity of the country, uh, the framers of Indian Constitution wanted to make strong central, so that every state has to be responsible for the central government. That's why they opted Canadian model of federalism. So coming to know the very meaning of federalism, federation, as what this um, figure shows, that it is nothing but trying to make equilibrium, means equilibrium between the states and the national governments. So federalism at its core a system where the dual machinery of the government functions, means federalism is based on the two types of missionaries of the government. Generally, under federalism, there are two levels of the government. Okay, one is central authority, which looks after the major powers of the affairs of the country. The other is state authority, which is more of a local government that looks after the day-to-day functioning and activities of their particular region. So in this way, what I am trying to say, federation is the result of the equilibrium between the center and the states, means the national government are the states. So in a federation, we can say that a union government means central government is having several names, like union government, national government, federal government. Okay, this is what the uh, name which has been used simultaneously so as to describe central government. So where we should not be confused. Coming to know uh, what constitutional of India has say about the federal system in India. Although constitution set up a federal system, nowhere does it define federalism. It means that in the whole constitution we are going to find the term federation or federalism or federal system nowhere. Means nowhere we are going to find the concept of the term federation in in Indian Constitution. However, the framers of Indian Constitution were determined to create a strong national government uh, and address the shortcomings of the Articles of Confederation, which allowed the states too much powers. Here, one thing you have to know that our constitution makers wanted to give a federation instead of confederation. A confederation is one, okay, where the states are having more power, in fact too much power. If in India confederation would have been accepted or borrowed or adopted, definitely states, the dangerous consequences we have to find from the states because of diversities. Okay, diversities is responsible for, in fact, because of diversities, I want to say that the constitution makers have opted for federation rather than confederation. Why? Because they were fully aware of the disadvantages which are there in confederation. In fact, in terms of balance of power between the federal government and the state, the constitution clearly favors the federal government. Means Indian constitution favors for giving more power to the central government rather than the state government because of diversities. One of the reason I want to discuss here that when the constitution was um, making, means everybody knows that India has experienced partition. Means the framers of Indian Constitution were experienced the wounds of partition, and that is the reason why they didn't want to repeat the same mistakes in future by assigning more powers to the states. This is what one of the main reason behind the intention of framers of Indian Constitution for adopting federalism to India. Though India is a federal country, as everybody knows that the word federation has not mentioned anywhere. Instead, what it is said that India is the union of states. Actually, many historians believe that India is a quasi-federal country, means having the features of what I want to say, both federal as well as unitary features. It means it is a federal state with some features of unitary government also. So it described as Indian system is unitary in spirit but federal in form. So in this way we can say that Indian government or Indian constitution is having the features of both federal as well as unitary. The reason behind is that for maintaining unity, integrity of India, the framers of Indian Constitution were more favored towards federal government rather than the state governments. So in this way, we can say that Indian federalism is not pure in nature, unlike American federalism. And that is the reason why, as a result of which I can say that Indian Constitution is a mixture of both unitary features as well as federal features. Though India is a federal system, but with more tilt towards unitary government, unitary form of government. What I want to say that it is more unitary rather than federal. That is what, according to some scholars. It, it is sometimes considered as quasi-federal system as it is having both the features of federal as well as unitary system. So coming to discuss first what are the federal features which Indian government is having, then we will move forward to discuss about the unitary features. Federal features of Indian Constitution is like that. Dual government means government in India is at two levels. Then second one is a division of powers, rigidity of the constitution, independent judiciary, written constitution, supremacy of the constitution, and bicameralism. So these are the federal features of Indian government. Coming to discuss one by one, what are the features? First one, dual government, means the government at two levels. The Constitution of India has essentially prescribed a federal state of government to India, as we already know that we have several levels of government. Means dual, what I want to say, our government is located at dual. means at two levels. First at the national level, where we are having the organs of the government like legislature, executive and judiciary. Means legislature means parliament, which is having which is bicameral in nature, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then various state, at the same time we are also having at the state level the upper house and lower house. Upper house Vidhan Parishad, lower house Vidhan Sabhas. And finally we are having the municipal corporations and panchayats, which are also forms the local governance. So what I am trying to say that in India, dual setup is there. Dual setup. One is at the national level, another is at the local level. So at national level, we are having the national government and state government. National government, as everybody knows, has to look after the affairs of the nation or international affairs. Coming to know state government, which is going to look after the affairs of day-to-day transactions of the business of administration. So this dual nature is not only restricted to these types of government, but also we can find the system of government at the local level also, like municipal corporations and municipalities or panchayats. So in this way, here exists the dual nature. Either it is there in form of executive, or it is there in form of legislature, or it is there in form of judiciary also. Coming to discuss about judiciary. At the central level, we are having the, means in a national level, we are having Supreme Court. At the same time, at the state level also, we are having the highest court of appeal in both cases of civil as well as criminal, High Court. So the same situation, the dual polity is exist at the local level also. Like at what I want to say, at district level, district courts are there. At mandal level, mandal courts exist. Even at panchayat level, gram panchayat, gram sabha is there, which is going to solve the petty cases at the local level. So in the same way, executives, coming to know about executives at the central level, we are having the executive in form of definitely two types, because of parliamentary system we are having real executive and nominal executive. The same structure is applicable at the state level also. At the state level also, dual means executive exists. So coming to know the real executives, Prime Minister and Council of Minister at the national level, and President and Vice President are as a nominal executive exist at national level. The same situation applies in state government also. Governor acts as the what I want to say is the nominal executive. CM and Council of Minister acts as the real executive. This is what the dual polity means. The same system will also applicable for other local self-government also. Okay, like municipal commissioner. Okay, at the municipal corporations. Okay, at panchayats, sarpanch. So in the same way, what I am trying to say that if you take legislature, executive or judiciary, we can find the dual polity at each level of government. Coming to know another important feature of federal form of government, that is division of powers. Our constitution, means part 7th of Indian constitution, makes clear demarcation about legislative powers and its jurisdictions. Okay, it has done through three lists: union list, state list and concurrent list. As we know that union list, this includes the subjects that carry national importance like defense, finance, railways, banking. So such subjects only carried out by the central government. It means only central government is allowed to make the laws on these subjects which are having the national importance. State list. State list includes all the matters important to functioning of a particular region, like trade, transport, commerce, agriculture, police. The state government is the deciding authority for framing the law on these subjects. Concurrent list. This list includes the topics on which both the central as well as the state governments can make the laws. These are related to education, forest, trade, unions, etc. One point to be noted that if the two governments are in conflict with these laws, the decision of the union government will prevail. It is the final authority. So whatever it may be, as far as the division of power is concerned, that has been clearly laid down in the Indian Constitution Part 7. Coming to know another important federal feature of Indian Constitution is written constitution. Actually, there are two types of constitution exist in the world, written and unwritten. Written constitution is one which has been written in a particular period of time by particular uh, group of people, and based on this we can say that Indian constitution is written one. Unwritten constitution is one where the conventions play an important role as the basis of the constitution. The best example of unwritten constitution in the world is Britain. So coming to know, Indian constitution is written one. Why it is written one means because it has been written in a particular period by particular group of people, that is constituent assembly, which consists of the elected representatives. It is written one for two purposes. Number one, for guaranteeing the rights of the people. Indian constitution not only confers the fundamental rights to the people but also gives the guarantee of protecting the fundamental rights. Okay, which have been, and the second important purpose of written constitution, which I am discussing as a part of federal feature, where it has clearly laid down the powers between central and state, so that if the constitution is written one, then only the powers of these central and state units should be cleared down, so as to stop any kind of conflict in future. So written constitution is here so as to guarantee protect the powers of either central government or state government, so as to abolish any kind of conflict in future. So in this way we can say written constitution is one of the important federal feature of Indian constitution. Next, supremacy of the constitution. In fact, you know one thing, that constitution is regarded as the basic structure of what I want to say, basic structure of the constitution is indestructible as laid out by the judiciary. The constitution, in fact, it is regarded as the supreme law of the land. If anybody, means in India, constitution is supreme. Nobody are going to avoid the constitution. If it has been avoided by any organization, either private or public, that should be punished by the court of law. So in this way we can say the final authority lies in the constitution itself, which is supreme law of the land. Independent judiciary. As now only I have said that it is the judiciary which is going to protect the constitution. Why? Because if any law that has been made by the legislature or any order issued by the executive, if those laws or orders are against the spirit of constitution, then judiciary has the power to declare those laws as unconstitutional or void. So in this way we can say the judiciary is there so as to protect the spirit or philosophy of Indian constitution. So at that time it is important the judiciary must be independent. So our constitution provides for an independent and integrated judiciary. Why we are calling the Supreme Court as an independent or integrated? Why? Because it is integrating the works of its lower courts. The lower and the district courts are at the bottom levels and the high courts are at the state levels, and at the topmost position is the Supreme Court of India. All courts are subordinate to Supreme Court. So in this way we can call Supreme Court as the integrated judiciary, which is going to integrate the works of all its subordinate courts, including high courts also. Number one. Number two, definitely judiciary should be independent, and the constitution itself provides the provision for making judiciary independent in a way that the judges of Supreme Courts and high courts are going to get what I want to say, more facilities, more privileges, like they are getting high salaries, they are going to get the provisions of what I want to say, staying at judicial apartments. Their sons are going to get the provision of what I want to say, reservations. So many privileges have been given to Supreme Court judges or High Court judges so as to act as an independent. Why the main point why judiciary must be independent, because of it should do the justice for all. Either the cases that has been arised between central and the states or among the states, it should do the justice to all, and that is the reason why it is made independent. Then one more thing which I want to say, that rigidity of the constitution. So if the constitution is rigid, Indian constitution is regarded as rigid, definitely unlike American, but Indian constitution is rigid. Why? Because if it is rigid, it is very difficult to change in future, so as to avoid the conspiracies that has been made either by the central government or by the states governments as far as the powers matters are concerned. Then it become very tough to bring any changes in the constitution, and that is the reason why, so that nobody should violate the provisions of the constitution, the constitution has become rigid one. Bicameralism. Bicameralism is one of the important feature of Indian constitution, where both at the central level or at the state level, the state's representation should be made so as to accommodate. I want to say Indian legislature is bicameral in nature, so as to accommodate the state representation at the national level, so as to make fair laws. So these were the features of federal government. Coming to now unitary features of Indian constitution. As I have already told you, that Indian constitution is both having the features of federal as well as unitary. In fact, Indian government tilt more towards unitary rather than the federal. So let us discuss what are the features of unitary government. Flexibility of the constitution. So Indian constitution, in fact, I want to say mixed constitution, which is having the features of both flexibility as well as rigidity. So it is not as rigid as that of American constitution and not flexible as that of Britain constitution. It is having both features. Sometimes the provisions of Indian constitution is what I want to say can be easily amended, and sometimes it will take more tough procedure to amend some parts of Indian constitution. In case the amendment seeks to change aspect of federalism in India, the provision is bring about such amendment is not easy. So in this way, we can say that unitary features in Indian constitution makes the one of the important feature of unitary government. Strong center. I have already told you the one of the important intention of the constitution framing fathers, so as to make Indian government at the central level more strong for making unity and integrity of India. So the constitution guarantees more powers with the union list, like 100 subjects are there for union government. On the concurrent list, which is having nearly 52 subjects, there the parliament can make the laws, and that can override the laws made by the state legislature on some matters. So it means that the parliament is having, central government is having the power to make the laws on all the union lists, and concurrent list also indirectly goes to the central government. Even the parliament can also make the laws regarding certain subjects in the state lists also, either during emergency period or in normal times. So in this way, in India, the central government has become more strong. Wherever central is strong, that is one of the best feature of unitary government. Unequal representation of the state in Rajya Sabha, unlike in America, where the states are having equal representation. You know, in America, the upper house is called Senate, where every state sent, as everybody knows that America is having 50 states, and every state sends 2 representatives to the upper house, that is Senate. So total membership of Senate in America is 100. Unlike India, where unequal representations has been done in the state as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned, and this unequal representation, in fact, the representation of the states in upper house is based on the state population. For example, Uttar Pradesh is having more states when compared to the Goa, the small states like Goa. So in this way, this is not the pure future of what I want to say, federal government. In fact, all the states should not have equal representation in India. Executive is a part of legislature. This is also one thing which we are having in India. In India, if anybody wants to become the executive, he or she should become first the part of the legislature. So in India, executive is both the central and the states is the part of legislature. This goes against the principle of division of powers between the different organs of the government. Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. In our system, Lok Sabha acts as more powerful, as everybody knows that all the bills except money bill, where both the houses are having equal powers. As far as money bill is concerned, only Lok Sabha is having upper hand when compared to the what I want to say, Rajya Sabha. So this is also this principle is also against the federalism concept. Integrated judiciary. Now only I have discussed that in India, even though every state is having its own highest court, but at the nation level, single judiciary which is integrated judiciary is there, where I want to say that whose judgments are final. In fact, Supreme Court of India is regarded as the final court of appeal, and that is the reason why there is no separate judiciary at the central and the state level. Single citizenship. Actually, unlike America, where dual citizenship is there, every state, first of all, in America, first a citizen is a citizen of first the state, then he is a citizen of the country. Means two dual citizenship were in America, but as far as India is concerned, here single citizenship is available. Definitely they cannot be citizen of the state as well. First, any citizen of India, any citizen, whether he belongs to any state, he never be regarded as a citizen of that state, he must be regarded as the citizen of the country. This helps in increasing the feeling of nationality, as it forgets unity, admits regional and cultural differences. It also argues that fundamental rights such as freedom of movement and resident in any part of the nation will applicable to India. So single citizenship is definitely not the feature of what a federal form of government. It is a feature of what I want to say, unitary form of government. Governor's appointment. Governor, the governor of a state acts as the central representative in the state, and the appointment of the governor has been done by the president on the advice of the council of ministers. Means again central government interference is there, as well as the states are exist. So the state government does not appoint the governor, whereas the central does in India. New states formation. As far as if any new state has to be formed, it is not a lie on the part of the state legislature should pass the bill. It should first, the parliament has the power to alter the territory of a state or to form a new government by reducing the area of the state. It can also change the name of the state also. So all these power have been lying in the parliament, not to the state government. All India services. All India services like IAS, IPS, IRS, etc. The central government interferes in the executive powers of states. These services also offer uniformity in administration throughout the nation. Integrated Election Machinery. Election Commission of India is responsible for conducting the free and fair elections both at the central as well as the state levels. So the members of the Election Commission in fact are appointed by the president. So in this way, Integrated Election Commission, governor's appointment, all India services, all these factors definitely are the evidences so as to say that India is unitary in spirit. Veto over the state's bills. This is another peculiar power of the president. The governor of a state can reserve certain kinds of bills for the president's consideration. The presidents enjoy the absolute veto on these bills. He can even reject the bill at the second instance also, and when the bill is sent after the recommendation by the state legislature. This provision is a departure from the principle of federalism. So in this way, even the legislatures are not having the power to legislate. Sometimes governor also sends the bill for president's consideration whenever he is having confusion. So in this way, veto over the state's bill by the president is against the nature of federalism. integrated audit machinery. The president of the country appoints controller and auditor general who audits the accounts of both the central as well as the states respectively. So in this way, CAG, what I want to say, CAG, All India Services, represents the unitary feature of Indian government. Power to remove key officials. The state government or state legislature does not have any authority to remove certain key government officials even at the state level, like governors. First of all, governor definitely appointed by the president and removed by the president himself, or commissioner of state, judges of high courts, or chairman of state public service commissions. Though governor appoints them, but removing power has been lie with the uh, central government. So in this way, at conclusion, what we can say that Indian government is having features of unitary as well as federal features. In fact, more whatever the comment that has been given on the Indian federalism, that is India is unitary in spirit but federal in form, or Professor K.C. Ware has rightly said that Indian system as quasi federal, that is correct. Even Indian government is regarded as semi-federal. They regarded Indian system as semi-federal, cooperative federalism. So whatever it may be, whatever they have said that is correct. Indian model of federalism is called quasi system as it contains more features, major features of both federation as well as unity. So in this way, we can say that Indian government is more tilt towards unitary rather than federal. The main objective behind the framing fathers of Indian Constitution for making this kind of federalism to India, which is cooperative, which is quasi-federal, which is semi-federal, so as to make Indian unity and integrity of the country. So Indian system of government is having both the features of federal as well as unity.